Everyone dreams of building their new home, and for a few of us, those dreams do turn into reality. Well, tonight we're going to meet two of those people. Over the next 12 weeks, we'll be following their building progress while Fowler Homes turn their dreams into reality. Welcome to your new home. First stop is the seaside suburb of Sumner, where Jane Patterson owned a house on the Esplanade with million-dollar views of the waterfront. 5 years ago, Jane started planning to build a new house on her fabulous site, even though she was living in Sydney at the time.
My plan was always been to return back to Christchurch, and because the house was an old house, I loved it dearly. It's got a lot of sentimental memories attached to it, but it needed a lot of money spending on it. Because it was a large section, and because I'd been used to living in apartments in Sydney, my initial thought was actually to build some townhouses on the rear section and then develop the house on the front section. But life changed, as we know. The earthquakes started just after I arrived back, and with insurance issues and just consent problems, the whole project changed, and now the back section's this lovely big garden. It's a whole new world I've discovered, and the front section is now my building project.
Managing Jane's building project is Fowler Homes manager Ivan Stanisic. He's been working with Jane planning her build throughout the past 5 years.
We started designing this place just on 5 years ago, and due to earthquakes and a few other hold-ups with requirements and changes in plan and all those things, it's taken some time to get it out of the ground. So this is an exciting stage for clients because they can actually walk through this picture they've had on a piece of paper, and they can imagine what it's like to stay in the rooms when it's all fully finished. So it's pretty cool for them, I reckon. But there's a bit of pain to get to this point, particularly in this area where the house is built, because of requirements from council and obviously clients and neighbours. But we just get through it. Just got to do it all, don't you? It's a modern builder. It's a hell of a lot harder than it's ever been to do what we do now than it's ever been, and it'll get worse as time rolls on.
The day I get the keys, I think there'll be a lot of people around there drinking champagne. It will be an absolute celebration. And I think what's lovely is there's so many people that are so excited about this project. I've got friends from all around the world wanting photos of what's happening, give us an update, because they're all planning on landing on the doorstep. It will be a huge sense of celebration. Then the reality, oh my goodness, look, I've got to unpack all these boxes that have been in storage for so long, and but that will happen after the party. There'll be a party with plastic chairs and no furniture. That's for sure.
Planning Jane's build has taken a great deal of time and concentration from Ivan and his team, particularly as it's gone on for 5 years.
Every site is slightly different. In a general sense, we can be certain distances away from each boundary, and what that means is that you've got to consider that with your design. In this property in Sumner, we can actually be right on the boundary on this particular case, providing that the wall of the house doesn't protrude through a certain angle called a recession angle. And so we've designed this house as a very narrow section. It's only just over 13 metres wide. So we've designed it so that the house is as hard as we can get it to one boundary, so we can get as much distance on the northern boundary as we can. One reason is access, second reason is to get more sun penetration into the house. Solar gain, everybody wants it because it's free from the sun. One of the first things we consider is basically building a home for the sun. It's something that's pretty basic, but we actually focus on it heavily. It's really important to maximise the solar gain your house will get. For that reason, we offer every client what we call a sun angle tool, which is a real simple tool you overlay on your plan, and then you design the rooms and the sun gain into the rooms by using that tool as a really good guide. And then we just lay up the rooms and thinking about how the home's going to be entered and how it's going to be lived in. In this case, it's a 2-storey home. So we've got obviously living upstairs, got really good views of the ocean and the Esplanade at Sumner. And then at the back of the house, where we've got a library and another balcony, we've got setting sun. So all day, this house is getting sun from morning right through the evening. More so in the upper area, particularly in winter as the sun's lower. So all of these things have to be considered when you design the house. This house also had some additional complications, being in a special area out at Sumner there, where we had to overlay the new home pretty much in line with the existing home, and that caused quite a period of discussion with our friends at the council, which is really important. because this way the house complied with all the regulations and we didn't have to get neighbours' approval. So the whole design process of this house is quite detailed, like most houses, and if you follow all the steps then the process is actually relatively simple, although sometimes it takes too long.
Building a house is an emotional process. Both the homeowner and their builder need to do more than just get on with each other. House owners entrust their dreams and their money to the builder. So there's a lot riding on the relationship.
One of the things that I've really valued about working with Ivan is right at the very beginning when EQC first came out to assess my house, Ivan actually came along to the meeting just to make sure that, well, I think part of it was out of interest so he'd see what was going on, but it also made sure, or at least gave me the confidence that they were doing a reasonable job. There's also been the situation with the City Council when we were going through the resource consent. Really, there was no expectation that Ivan should have been at the meetings. It really should have been the architect and myself. But, you know, he always rocked up, which is, it's good to know you've got people on your side backing you. That was really good. I mean, it was good. It was a difficult process.
Processes are made more complicated because of the earthquakes and the changing requirements of the building code to meet safer building standards. All these requirements do impact upon the cost of building with Jane's budget. But every step of the way, Ivan's been there, making sure Jane gets the advice and support needed to make informed choices.
I was saying to Ivan, I really should, you know, the insurance company was wanting to pay me out and I was conscious costs had gone up, and he said, well, you know, talk to the insurance company. You know, there's been a report come out saying what the increase has been in building costs. So of course I rocked along, and for a 5-minute conversation, a very good conversation, I got a better deal from the insurance company. So his advice along the way has been invaluable. One of the benefits I found with working with Fowlers last time, and it's been abundantly apparent this time, is that it's so good just to have one point of contact. And right at the beginning when I sat down and talked with Ivan about what I was wanting to do, and we discussed about possible, you know, architects or architectural designers we should use, right through then to saying, look, this is my budget and how do we work with that? It's one point of call, which for me makes life so much easier. You know, obviously I like chatting to the builders and whoever else is down there, but I don't have to deal with the problems, which is nice. That's a real plus.
Not every house build begins with a bit of earth. For many people in Christchurch, the first step to a new home is watching their old home being pulled down. That's Jadine Peterson's story, next on Your New Home. For many people in Christchurch, building a new house starts like this. The earthquakes of 2010 and 2011 left many people with houses no longer safe to occupy, so down they're coming. It's created opportunities for people like Jadine Peterson to get a new home, a better, warmer home than she owned before. But it's still emotional though, knowing your own home, the place you've made into your private space, will be smashed into a pile of dust, your memories reduced into little more than landfill. Before all that could happen, Jadine had to settle with her insurers.
The earthquake affected us quite immensely through our house. It was double brick, and so a lot of the outer brick was literally just falling out, so that's why we were having to rebuild. When I was first told that the house was going to be demolished, right back when Miriama was 3 days old, she's now just turned 2, I felt just even hearing that was a crazy feeling, because I really loved my old house. I absolutely loved it. It was old and it was built in 1904, had awesome features, and it was sad, but at the same time I felt a bit of happiness, you know, because there were things, obviously it was falling down. It wasn't the warmest of houses. Couldn't really do too much to really make it too much warmer, because you didn't want to spend any extra money or anything on it. So it was sad, but then again going back and being told about that you were going back to being a repair, and then of course then we went back to being demolish. I felt a lot happier that kind of second time round. Like, right, this is a final decision. This is actually happening. I really wanted to be there for the demolition, but then kind of at the last minute I decided not to be. And I actually went up to Blenheim and to see my family, and come back and just saw a pile of bricks, really. Yeah.
Once Jadine knew she was a rebuild, the first decision she had to make was choosing a builder.
I had chosen to go with Fowlers. They had been recommended to me, and I gave them a call. Dustin rang me back within a day, 2 days at most, and we had a meeting pretty quickly. He came round home, told me about himself and the company and everything like that, and I actually felt quite a bit of relief. I felt like I was in pretty good hands pretty quickly, and I could feel a lot of that kind of stress starting to come away, yeah, when we started just with little plans, just, it was quite small to begin with, and it did relieve a lot of that stress, yeah.
Dustin Stanley is the project manager for Jadine's build. Dustin works for Fowler Homes, but he started on the other side of the counter as a client.
My introduction to the building industry began about 13 years ago, and at the time I actually wanted to build my own home, so I ended up coming to Fowlers coincidentally and met Ivan, and between my wife and I we decided it would be a good place to start. Like much of our business, we were referred to Fowler Homes. My parents and both my wife's parents had also built with Fowler Homes over the years. So we thought that's a good place to go, and that's where we went. I wanted to make sure that I got all the maintenance done on my building, so coincidentally, Ivan suggested it would be a good idea for me to join the team. And since that time, it's been great. It's such an enjoyable industry, and as a company, we're lucky enough to have a great variety of clients and some really nice people that we get to meet, and we get to build their brand new home. My role begins right from the very first meeting with our customers, and I'll take them through the planning stage, helping them design their plans, price up the home for them, present it to them in a format that is understandable and clear, and then I'll help oversee the construction of the home, and then I've got the pleasure at the end of handing over the keys.
A key aspect of any building manager's job is sorting out the client's budget. Budgets can be tricky. Clients don't always reveal all they've got to spend, and sometimes they're simply unrealistic about what their budget will buy. For building manager Dustin, it's just another barrier to hurdle on the way to getting his client's house planned and built.
Budget's really, really important, and it's one of the first questions that we ask our clients, and it's often one of their trickiest because they're either not too keen on divulging the budget or they're not really sure. So establishing a budget at the beginning is really, really important. We can work with our clients to establish what that budget might be. We can help advise and guide you on items that will impact on your budget. We also want to talk to you about what you want to achieve for yourself and your family, and what you want to get out of your home. There's so many things that will impact on it that it's very difficult to steer people in the right direction if we don't establish that budget at the beginning. Be honest and upfront if you can at the front end. Work with your builder, work with us, and we'll ensure that we can get as much as we can for your budget into your dwelling, and ultimately you'll be happy.
The site has been cleared and the budget set. Now it's time to finalise the plans for Jadine's new home. Dustin's been working closely with Jadine on her house plans, making sure she gets the house of her dreams. It's a restricted site, but Dustin's found ways of giving Jadine everything she wants.
Okay, so the rebuild for Jadine Peterson, in this case obviously it's an earthquake rebuild, so the existing home didn't fare too well. So it was about designing a home that was going to fit on the site properly. We've got an easement and a couple of other restrictions that we have to stay within. Also talking to Jadine about what she wanted to achieve obviously because we've got to replace the existing home, so you've got to keep it pretty much like for like. The old home didn't have an attached garage, so attaching a double garage to this plan was something that she really wanted to do, and it was something that we could achieve.
The rebuild's given Jadine the opportunity to expand her house by adding an extra bedroom, creating a 4-bedroom home in the place of her old 3-bedroom house. The garage has also been connected to her new home.
Also, adding a 4th bedroom to this home was quite important to Jadine. She only had a 3-bedroom home last time, so we've managed to sneak in a bedroom at the back and create a 4-bedroom home. A couple of other things, simple really things actually, adding a toilet, a separate toilet in this case. A lot of those old homes, they didn't have a separate toilet, they had a toilet attached to the bathroom, so we've managed to put in a separate toilet. And the other really good thing too, I think, in this home is the open plan living. So we've got a kitchen, dining, family and a lounge which can actually be separated, so you can have 2 separate living areas. Or if you open the big double cavity sliders, you'll get massive open plan living area.
Jadine's old house was brick, which didn't survive the earthquakes. Dustin's recommending a different cladding that will look good and survive any future tremors.
So unfortunately the old villa style home that she did have didn't fare too well, being a double brick home. So we've elected to go with the Integra panel in this case, which is just going to give her that plaster look. And we've managed to sneak in a gable at the front and put a sort of a feature chimney. Now, in the meantime, she's not going to put a fire in that particular chimney area, so she'll use it as a bit of a feature internally in that lounge. She could put a bookcase or a TV or something in there. But you've got the ability to add a fire for heating and stuff later if you want to. But that gable facing the street's actually quite nice, so that'll just give a bit more of a feature and a bit more character to the home. And probably lastly, actually one of the important things too was positioning the home in relation to the sun. So now we've got a lot of sun coming into her master bedroom, one of the bedrooms at the back and all of her living area. So that was a real key, and I think now having replaced the home with 4 bedrooms, 2 living, 2 bathrooms, 200 square metres with an attached double garage has been great, and I think it's really going to tick all the boxes for her now.
Once her home was due to be demolished, Jadine, like so many other earthquake-affected homeowners, has had to move out and find rental accommodation. In a city with fewer rental properties and more people wanting to rent, it hasn't been easy for Jadine to find somewhere to temporarily call home.
The price of a rental in Christchurch it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And so when you go to the first open home I went to for the first rental that I went to look at, I'm not kidding, there was at least 60 to 80 people there, and they're obviously only going to take one person to go in there, and I was standing in the line by myself. I'd got someone to look after Mitty so that I could go and look at this rental, and it wasn't flash or anything. It was just a little 2-bedroom kind of flat, and I was really blown away by it, and just standing there trying to get this rental. And I went through and had a look, but in the end decided that just keep looking, you'll find somewhere.
To stay in rental accommodation has been harder on Jadine than she anticipated.
The one thing I'm really looking forward to is having some space, not having boxes all over the place and stacked up, and furniture kind of shoved in corners because there's absolutely nowhere to fit it. And Miriam having her own space. She's not had her own room since she's been born, actually. So now that I come to think of it, so yeah, she's always, her cot or bassinet has always been in my room, mainly, going through the earthquakes and things like that, making sure she's close and near, being in the big old house. And now that we're in a really small rental, that we're so crammed in, and there are just boxes everywhere, and we don't have a lot of our surroundings and things around us. We've got a few pictures and things like that around, but it's just not really homely.
Jadine's excited about moving into her new home, even though it's still early days in the build process.
At the moment, we've got a house, and we had the old house as well, but this is going to be, our home. It's not, it's 4 walls and, all that kind of stuff, but this is going to be our home. And we've just been living in a house for a while now with boxes everywhere, and I know that this is you know, you can already feel it going through the process from right when that was dug out and the foundations, and as exciting as it wasn't just me that was excited, it was, you know, everybody around us, our team, everyone, and the journey it's just going to keep going, and you know, I really feel like that there's a lot of people in the team that we're working all together, but I've really felt like I've made some really good friends that you know are going to be there for a lifetime.
Next time on Your New Home, Ivan takes a tour of Jane's new home, inspecting the firewalls and steel frames.
We're standing here just looking, imagining what it's like to walk in the house. And so I'm walking through what is effectively, in my mind, the client's hallway. And then just where this bit of timber's lying on the ground is basically the master bedroom.
And the road cones come out as the foundations are poured for Jadine's new home.